here and is once again directed by Anthony and Joe Russo. And this is the culmination of 11 years of storytelling in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Sure, the universe will go on after this, but as the story from this point in time, which has been told so far, this is the culmination of that story. And this is, of course, going to be a non-spoiler review. Absolutely nothing in this review is going to be given away. That said, there will be a spoiler review later on the weekend where we'll talk a little more in depth. So if you're worried about spoilers, don't be. Thanos snapped his fingers and half the universe went out of existence, and now the Avengers have to deal with something they've never quite dealt with before, which is loss. They've always come out swinging somehow, one way or the other, yet this time they didn't quite win the battle. Yet they're somehow trying to pick up the pieces and do whatever it takes to somehow reverse what has happened. Going into this film, there's going to be a ton of anticipation. There's going to be a lot of people wondering how things will turn out. It's a 3-hour movie, and there's a lot that they can do, giving idea to the fact that so much is up in the air. So many questions need to be answered. So much needs to be done. They're essentially trying to wrap up the Russos' 11 years of storytelling in one movie. And I walked out of this film incredibly happy. This is not just one of the best superhero movies I've ever seen. This is one of the best movies, period, that I've ever had the experience of viewing. At this point in time, very few MCU movies have really disappointed me. And I have loved pretty much everything the Russos have done in this universe so far. This film is essentially a celebration of everything that the MCU has to offer, and it does so with really great expert hand. It's beautifully written and directed, and this is essentially more than anything. I keep coming back to this. They've really not left a single thing up to chance. If you were wondering if there will ever be an all-out Marvel movie, you've arrived at the right place. This is your all-out Marvel movie. Everything in this film is so meticulously placed and so well done that there's no room for error. They've made sure there's almost no room for error. There can be nitpicky points for sure, and I'm sure there will be. There are going to be videos down the line where people are going to use the Blu-ray footage or whatever and create gigantic video essays on how one tiny second affects the entire film. But personally, I did not mind that at all. I'm not usually a fan of getting what I want in a film, because that means I called it from the start. I did not call this movie, but there are certain things in it which I sort of predicted would happen, but in this case I'm glad that happened, because I thought long and hard after watching Infinity War, which is something I really love, what they can do next and where the story can go. And my mind went a few places, and I thought, you know what, this might be the best thing they can do. And I'm glad they did it. They did exactly what I thought that they should do, and I'm so glad that I was able to witness it. There are so many other things in this film that I can talk about, and I just can't, though, not in this video, because even though spoiler reviews are going to be uploaded within the next half hour or so after this video is uploaded, and you'll have access to those, I would rather this be non-spoiler, not just because, well, it's the first review, but also because 95% of the people I know haven't yet seen the movie. So there's a lot of people who are still waiting to properly see the film before any details are given out. 95% of my friends haven't seen the movie yet. And my parents haven't seen the movie either. So I gotta respect their wishes. But back to the film itself, one of the things I do need to talk about is that performance-wise, this is easily one of the strongest films. In fact, it may be. Everyone's really gone 110% here. Robert Downey Jr., for instance, gives easily the finest performance he's ever given as Tony Stark. Steve Rogers, Chris Evans went all out for this movie. And really everyone did. I think some of the standouts, if there were any, were those two, but everyone here is an absolutely fantastic actor, and they've all gone to 11 and beyond. This is perfect stuff. Captain Marvel in this movie is also much better than she was in her origin story, which is funny because I liked her in her origin story. I liked Captain Marvel. But if you're someone who wasn't a fan of Captain Marvel and was like, oh, I wish they could do a more, a better job with her, then this movie is probably going to be for you, because she's definitely a lot better handled in this movie. And what else can I talk about which doesn't reveal anything? There's a lot. The visual effects in this film are absolutely beautiful. They are some of the best again. And I think this film is visually better than Infinity War. I looked hard and closely for any major visual flaws, and I honestly did not find any. And I'm so glad because that's good. That means they really worked hard on this one. I will say this though, there are points where you can find this film to maybe be slow. Not boring, just a little slow. It's a 3 hour film, and that first act, in a sense, is a lot of setup. Personally, again, it's what I wanted. I wanted the first act to be what the first act of this movie is. And subsequently, the second act of this film, what we get, I didn't quite know what we were gonna get, so I was consistently surprised. But let's face it, you guys want to talk about how this thing ends, how it finally wraps up. I'm gonna go on record and say this: the final hour of this film is one of the best things I've seen in cinema. It's perfection, honestly. And I'm gonna say it: carry tissues. Just carry tissues. I'm not telling you why. Just bring them, because there's no one or two scenes where you're gonna cry. You're gonna cry for a major chunk of this movie at points. I did. I'm just saying it. Yeah, it was amazing. The finale of this film is so difficult because so much is happening and so much can go wrong immediately, and yet somehow it doesn't. And they did it so well, and they managed to incorporate everything just as the way it should be without ever losing sight of a proper coherent story or the way it's handling certain things as they're going on. The film is very unexpected. If you have any fan theories, I suggest you throw them out the window because almost none of them are going to apply here. I think only one did, which a friend of mine made a while ago, but it wasn't really for much. All in all, I mean, I would rather you guys went in with this as fresh, and clear-headed as possible. Also, one thing I'm a fan of when it comes to films is music. I'm always looking to whether a film has good music or not because I like to collect soundtracks and I like to listen to soundtracks in my spare time. And I think Alan Silvestri here has done a better job than he did in Infinity War. I praised the hell out of that score. Here he's taken that same score and made it far better. So, congratulations, Mr. Silvestri. But I have to talk one other thing about one other character very briefly, and that is Clint Barton slash Hawkeye slash. This is not a spoiler, right? Ronin. I think everyone knows he's Ronin at this point. He is the best he's ever been in these movies. I really loved the way they handled Clint Barton in this film. He was awesome. So great. And again, this film really does a great job of connecting a lot together. Like I said, it's a wrap-up movie in a lot of ways, and it does not leave a single question after it's over. Yes, there are so many different things they can do after this, and I'm eager to see where the MCU goes now that this film is done and now that this story has been told. But it has given us a very perfect way to finish this story. I can't wait to see this film again as soon as possible, and I know I'm gonna love it probably even more as subsequent movies go. It should be noted that this is, however, a very different movie compared to Infinity War because Infinity War is more Thanos' movie, and that's essentially his anti-hero story of sorts. Thanos is in this movie, but it's not his movie. This is definitely the Avengers' movie. This is their story. And the good thing about this film, which is something I was hoping for after watching Infinity War, was I wanted this to be almost seamless. That you watch Infinity War and someday down the line, if they ever make a version of this film, which is like 5.5 hours long, and it connects the two movies together, you get one big 5.5 hour movie, which is a big gigantic epic that flows together naturally. And this film definitely does do that. Also, something in this film that I'm going to talk about very briefly is humor. You would think this film is a lot more serious, and it is. It's very serious. But when there are points where humor is used, it's used effectively. And I'm so glad that they used it as effectively as they could, and they never let it override the film at any point. They were very well placed jokes as the film required them to be. In the end, I could go on more about this film, but I would rather not, because I've given you the basics about what this film is and all the stuff it has to offer. It has now my new favorite shot of the MCU. I think it's honestly home wallpaper worthy. Like if you're ever building a new house, you just have that on your walls. It's a perfect shot. Yeah, I really can't talk about it more unless I was heading to spoiler territory. So I'm gonna wrap up right here. I'm gonna wait for you guys to see this film, and of course, this movie is gonna make all the bank in the world, and it deserves it. This is a masterstroke of a film. This is up there, in my opinion, personally, in my opinion, with films like Return of the King, Born Ultimatum, even as a final trilogy, movie. Well, quadrilogy in this case. I can't wait to see it again, guys. This is amazing. And oh yeah, I mentioned I cried, right? I did. I'm gonna give Avengers Endgame a 10 out of 10. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Please support this video as much as possible. Really hoping this gets a lot of traction. Please share it around and like and comment. And if you've seen the movie, don't comment spoilers below. I will have those removed ASAP. Look forward to the spoiler review very soon. I'm going to be doing that with a friend of mine, and we're going to have a nice discussion about it. That should be fun. As always, guys, if you like this, please do subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the movies.